responsible.
Will that make people more accountable, or will that make people to be reticent, that people will not express themselves? Most of these cables that Wikileaks has revealed are the briefs by the diplomat population, that they exchange their views and thoughts with the respective governments to arrive at a decision.
Right.
So this will give a bad precedence, where a person who is working in Far East would not communicate with his government, would not create the actual picture, would not express his actual thoughts to that particular government to take a policy decision.
Well, I can say, for example, Mahesh, that Sri Lanka is having an election on such and such a day. These are the political forces, these are the main candidates, these are what the polls say. But if I say, I'd like this guy to win, and let's do something about that, that is serious stuff. That is that compromises the whole ethics associated with diplomacy. Right? Now, what you said about reticence and people not being free to express what they truly believe. Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, has said that these WikiLeaks disclosures and putting all this information in the public domain makes normal and reasonable diplomacy difficult. Now, what is normal? What is reasonable? Who makes these judgments about what the parameters of normality or about reason, right? What is reasonable for America might be horrendous for Africa or for Afghanistan or for Latin America. So, if normal is being able to engage in all this intrigue and political interference, then some kind of reticence on that would not be a bad idea. Let them check themselves before they act as though they are viceroys in whatever country they are posted in. They are not. They may have the guns, they may have the bucks, but we are supposed to be, the United Nations, for example, is supposed to be a body for all nations. We are all equal members in name, at least. But even that is not true, right? What Ban Ki-moon is essentially saying is, let there be reasonable, normal diplomacy as per the United Nations preferences. I am not in agreement with that.
Well, one wouldn't argue with you when it comes to this normal and reasonable diplomacy, as stated by Mr. Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the UN. Even with or without WikiLeaks, we have seen how unreasonable and abnormal certain diplomatic practices have been for countries like Sri Lanka, and I would believe that even this the appointment of UN War Crime Probe Committee is also a result of this unreasonable diplomatic policies, and that people try to put a country like Sri Lanka after achieving a triumph over one of the ruthless terrorist outfits. So that's something that we shouldn't even waste time to talk about, as even though Mr. Ban Ki-moon says that it creates the normal and reasonable diplomacy difficult, it is nothing new. Now, when you look at the WikiLeaks timely attacks on the US and also revelations on the Arab front and the Israel versus Arab countries, what are the most startling revelations by WikiLeaks?
As I said earlier, Manish, what is being highlighted by the mainstream press is the fact that certain Arab countries or their leaders are worried about Iran, right? What does that do? It says Iran has a nuclear program. We are worried about it. That's fine, right? What Israel says is, well, that is what we've been saying all along. We always believed that the majority of the Arab nations were worried about Iran's nuclear program. Now, nowhere is it mentioned about Israel's nuclear program, about how Arab nations are worried about Israel. Not necessarily the leaders of these Arab nations, whom I said are monarchs, despots, tyrants, but the ordinary people, the ordinary Arab population in this world. They are not happy about Israel's nuclear program. No one is talking about that, because a case is being built to attack Iran. And the president of Iran, when he was in New York, he made it very clear. The US delegation walked out. He made it very clear we are for nuclear power for peaceful means for all nations, for peaceful purposes for all nations, but for military purposes for no nation, which is a very sensible position to take, right? I don't know what Iran is doing with their nuclear program, but to the extent that United States is a nuclear power, that Israel is building, it has a nuclear program which is not peaceful in its intent. There's a lot of hypocrisy here, and WikiLeaks has not helped me to believe that that WikiLeaks has brought this hypocrisy out. It's structured, as I said. We are made to think in particular kinds of ways about Iran through these leaks. And that is not very, I'm not thrilled about it.
Well, you can join with us on 2775177, 2775177, or on 2775178, and also you can share your thoughts with us on SMS PTV space TRT space and send your message to 9922, PTV space TRT space and send your message to 9922. Well, if one tries to define or describe which side Julian Assange is on, it would be a bit of a difficult task. At the very beginning, he seemed, for me and for many, that he is anti-US, because he first revealed about 144 civilians being killed in Afghan by the US soldiers. So one would think that at that time would have thought that he is anti-US, he wanted to attack US. But later, more recently, like you said, that he is creating a sort of a division among the Arab nations by highlighting Iran, by focusing on Iran, by attacking Iran. So one would definitely believe that if Julian Assange was attacking US, he would definitely safeguard the interest of Iran. But in this case, it doesn't happen. In that context,
how do you explain him?
How do you explain him? On which side he is?
See, that's why I said it's too early. On the one hand, what you said is correct, right? Now he embarrasses the United States, but on the other hand, it's not stuff we didn't know. We knew that the United States was perpetrating all kinds of crimes against humanity in torture, systemic torture, not just random acts, by indisciplined soldiers. Systemic acts of torture, right? The British manuals for interrogation include methods which have been outlawed which are in contravention of the Geneva Convention. Everyone knows this stuff. So it's not news on the one hand. On the other hand, now when Julian Assange or WikiLeaks, and I don't know, we should not conflate the two, but Julian Assange brings out all this information, we should see the impact on global political processes. It has not impacted the global political process that has been, we have seen for the last 25 years, still going on. Nothing has changed. Some people are embarrassed, individuals are embarrassed. For the most part, it's individuals. In the United States, Obama is getting a lot of flack, but there is nothing about the Bush years. Why? Why is the mainstream media not talking about the fact that certain important figures, institutions in the mainstream media negotiate with WikiLeaks about what to put out, what not to put out? So who is Julian Assange working for is not very clear. From when you look at it from one angle, he seems like a loose cannon. He's like a terrorist. He's like a revolutionary for some people. On the other hand, it seems that the whole operation is orchestrated. So that's why I'm saying the jury is out on WikiLeaks. We cannot say that this is like the vanguard of the revolution of the 21st century, the greatest, the postmodern revolutionary moment or something. It's too early to say that. We are still at the beginning, and we are seeing the tip of the iceberg. So when we get more information, we can be more definite about our conclusions. Right now, it's pretty shaky.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that context, how one can be reliable about WikiLeaks, about its credentials?
Well, no one is disputing those. Patricia Butanis or Butanis, I don't know how you pronounce her name, forgive me if I'm butchering her name, she's not denying that she sent those cables. None of the other cables that have come, that have been the millions that have been put on the in the public domain, no one has disputed the authenticity of those communiques. So he's not lying, but you can always show certain things. You can hide certain things. It's very selective. So
that's the point. Well, WikiLeaks keeps on disclosing and coming out with its disclosures, and like you rightly said, the world's powerhouses do not deny these disclosures. I'm going to take a commercial break. I'll be right back, and we are going to talk why these bigwigs are not denying these cables disclosed by the WikiLeaks.